Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, I'm going to talk to you about making the case for the biodiversity in South Africa. Yeah, I'm from Pretoria. It's a pity the two men who were ridiculing boys from Pretoria have left. I wanted to say something to them, so that's fine. I won't say anything now. Let's see if it works. Okay, it does work. Yeah, I'm going to take you through the making the case strategy that was developed. It was spearheaded by the Department of Environmental Affairs and SANBI, and we did a lot of stakeholder engagements with the province and also the presidency. And yeah, this making the case, what is it all about? The making, I think this is what we've been hearing from Dr. Mkhize when he said he went to Scopa to present his motivation for his budget. That's making the case, and what he said about to demonstrate the value. And we heard from Miles as well. Mr. Miles, what was talking about, that is part of making the case. And as SANBI would like to coordinate all of that, we need those stories, we need those figures from you, Ruli, as well. So, they're making the case. Where am I now? How do I go to that first slide? Yes. The making the case, its aim is about unlocking the potential of biodiversity and ecosystem services for development by creating and demonstrating their value proposition. You heard that from Miles. And why is it necessary to do this? I think that first point doesn't mean anything to the KZN and wildlife anymore. They got like 500 million budget. But that's actually what it's about. We are saying it's underfunded. And the problem is that we talk about our messages of doom and gloom, which they don't go anywhere. We know about activists like the Greenpeace activists. They always go hands in hands with the Minister of Mineral Resources. And the decision-making as well does not sufficiently reflect biodiversity priorities. We know about the President Zuma's plans that he recently announced, the infrastructure development plan. Is there a draft document? Do we have a final document on that? And they're talking of 4 trillion over 15 years. In that, what you need in that is what's going to play a major role there. They will need water for all of that. And if we don't get with water, biodiversity priorities, healthy, intact ecosystem, they're all related. So in that plan, whether it's a draft or final, I'm not sure where is the plan or how is it all about, but we heard about the infrastructure development plan, and those biodiversity priorities we need in such national plans. And so our approach here is that what we need to do is to craft creative communication strategies that will outline the new approach. We need these compelling messages. The messages from Mr. Miles, I like that. Where am I now? Okay, yeah. And one of the things that we need to do is to test this to test these messages. We get these figures, evidence-based figures from Mr. Miles, and we go and test this with the Treasury. Will it work if we do that? That's one of the things that we want to do. And yes, and our current messaging, the messages that we've been what we've been talking to our decision makers, what we've been talking about when we have the chance to talk to the media, we talk about biodiversity. Is it understood? What is biodiversity? We have so many definitions of biodiversity. And another thing that goes with that is that those messages, we got those different contradictory and often confusing messages. We know about not all environmental scientists support that. I mean, the example is the one of the fracking example there, where people are worried about the water quality, but we still have those qualified environmental scientists. We are saying fracking is good. They won't. So we don't speak the same language, and our messages as well. The link between economic development and biodiversity is not well understood. It's shown repeatedly in most of the government's plan that is not well understood. And what then is government concerned about? It's concerned about poverty, unemployment, service delivery, and the little rabbit is there, which is biodiversity. This is how it is now. And the journey for the biodiversity sector, what we want to do as Sunbeam, which will be coordinating this, making the case strategy, is to get everyone in the conservation sector. We move from the value of species, which is something that we've been doing. We've got data, information on that. We move further down to value for people. It's like me and Mr. Miles were sitting together talking about this. When I was there, I said, that's what I'm actually going to talk about. So he already mentioned this, that this is what we need. We need to talk about, we need to take that, why, if you're worried about the habitat loss of a rabbit, who cares? Who cares? Make sure, get that message to make sure that somebody cares about that loss of habitat loss of a rabbit, and make that link further down to ecosystem services, further down to the people. That's what we want. And for the government as well, the government, we are worried about value for people, and what we need to show to the government is the community's prosperity that is enhanced by protecting our ecosystem, goods and services. That's how we should be. And what we did with the making the case strategy, we had these propositions of biodiversity. We got to 8 of, there were just a whole lot of what is important for biodiversity that we tested this with, we had the service provider who facilitated this with the presidency and also the provinces to look in terms of these are value propositions, which ones are critical, which ones do we really need to focus on, and with this making the case strategy. And these were ranked, the top ranking there, you can see your top 3 there is the national assets, which is where you get your goods and services. Our national, our mountain catchments, those are our national assets, our wetlands and all of that. They provide services. You have the children's legacy, which is whatever that we are doing now is for future generations, and practical solutions. We can't talk, let's do this, let's conserve biodiversity and all that, but we need the practical applications of all this. So this is how these were ranked. And so making the case here, we're saying that biodiversity messaging must first answer a rational need, then certify an emotional need. This is how it must be. The national needs, the national assets, our mountain catchments, our healthy intact ecosystems. That's what we're talking about. And the emotional needs, remember this, we're doing it now, but we want to sustain this for the future generations. And we want also practical applications of this. So I think I've skipped one slide, that's fine. But so the journey, this is our conservation sector. We talk about our value of species and value of, but we want to take that further down to the people, and we do the same with the government. We take that further up to the value of species, starting with the value of people, which we all concerned about. So how are we going to go about crafting these messages? We need, our sector needs a central attitude, narrative message. We need that streamlined, unified position. It's a process. We're not going to have one definition. That's what we are hoping, that we got like one definition of this is our position of how we talk to our decision makers. This is the language that we're going to use. Dr. Mkiza talked about that we with KZN Wildlife. They're doing a lot of research, but they're able to take that further down to job creation. That's what we need. And it will work further better if we have a strong political and scientific leadership. That's the champions. We need champions, and if we got someone from, if we got a political champions, that will work well for us. I know our Chief Director, Crystal Mays, thinks that Mr. Trevor Manuel can be a very good political champion for biodiversity. And I used to think maybe Steve of Mayor and Julius Malema can be good champions, but now I've changed my mind. They won't. They'll be we don't know. We don't want to talk about the doom and gloom. We will talk about the hope of gains. So we need strong political and scientific champions. We hope we'll find them, and that's what we. This is part of the Department of Environmental Affairs stand at COP17, where we had politicians who came to the stand. You have there Halima, Max Sulu. They were talking about the biodiversity powering the green economy, and the stand had no messages of doom, of loss, and it was about this is what the services, this is what biodiversity can offer. That's what we want, and we need to demystify the term biodiversity. That it's not about it's not in any way. The perception is that when you talk biodiversity, then you want to stop development, and we know that with in the coal mining industry, when you talk about biodiversity, they think you don't want to mine, but we have solutions. We have solutions. We have practical solutions. We need the mines. We need jobs. But it depends on where those mines are, where they're happening, and how they're going to be managed. The hope of gain, that's what we need. No more doom and gloom, because people don't understand that. Our 30% transformed grasslands, that's it, and so what? So we need those hope of gain and align our messages also to developmental society, with the needs of a development society, and align with our government priorities. That's what we need. And our messaging will be around a narrative that reflects the value of biodiversity. Mr. Miles talks about that. That's what we need to craft our message on. And this is just this is the stand of the Department of Environmental Affairs at COP17, where we're talking about the hope of gains, that with biodiversity, you do create jobs, so we were trying to speak the language of government. And sure, there are some slides that I've skipped. It's fine. So what's the next phase now? And Sandu will be coordinating this making the case strategy, and because we have access to the Department of Environmental Affairs, which has access to the Treasury, to the National Treasury. So we need those figures that we can take and show to the Treasury, this is what biodiversity can offer. So we will be coordinating that, but it doesn't mean that other conservation sectors will be doing the same. Well, KZN Wildlife seems to be making the case, doing that already. And we need to integrate making the case strategy into our work. And the strategy is available. The making the case strategy is available to all conservation sectors. If you can start thinking about it, how you want to take into your work, and I'm impressed that we are actually doing so well. The Department of Environmental Affairs will be championing the development of the communication strategy, and the strategy that will be talking our language, and that's I've mentioned also that we need to demonstrate that the next phase, as part of the next phase, is demonstrating evidence, capturing of relevant stories, profiling of champions. Craig Martindale, we need to champion people like that, what they are doing, and got those evidence stories. And the mainstreaming, that's something else. The Grassland Partners Forum, we will be having our Making the Case moment on the 8th to the 9th of November. We will be talking about just having a dialogue on ecological infrastructure. And yeah, that's all about making the case. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tau. Not for breaking the remote, but for a well-constructed speech. Just a quick recap. I think what's coming out of your speech is that a positive message is definitely more powerful than the messages of doom and gloom that have been toyed around so long. So if we align ourselves more in that way, we might get more joy. But I just wanted to note as well is that we also have all of these opportunities that government has around development and all that. And I think with the guys at Ezemvelo, we've been talking around that there is a very real window of opportunity to get the biodiversity on the agenda of government. That window of opportunity is there. The tools are there. The speakers have told you all the different types of tools that you can use to get this message on the agenda and very much up at the forefront of what government wants to do as a priority. Interestingly for me was when it was measured, is that the wealth of the rural people was measured quite low in terms of biodiversity. Now, if we can turn that around, because for government, that's what's really bothering, poverty. If you can turn that message around that, yes, managing this biodiversity can solve some of the poverty issues, it can have a very positive impact. Thanks a lot, Mr. Tau.